Welcome to AI Powered Career Edge, where we explore how AI is shaping careers and how professionals can stay ahead. I'm really excited today to talk to Ryan Carroll. So, Ryan really got my attention simply because he's a software engineer, but his ability to take what he's learned in software engineering, incorporate AI, and then do so many things with it was actually mind boggling. Because not only is he working at a startup, but he is experimenting with so many business ideas and getting them up and running quickly to experiment with them, fail fast, and then build other things. So, Ryan, so excited to talk to you today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course. So, Ryan, tell us a bit about you, your background, and what excites you.
Absolutely. So, I've been in tech for around 10 years now. And for pretty much all of that time, I've been in the full stack web development space.
Mhm.
Early in my career, I started out at a larger enterprise, jumped around a little bit, and then currently I'm working at a telehealth startup. So, earlier when AI first started coming out, I was experimenting with it kind of right away just because of how interesting it seemed and
Mhm.
the prospect of the potential of it. And I started using it in my day job a couple years ago. And when I went over to the startup that I work at now, working there has really taught me how to harness it properly and use it responsibly in a way that can really multiply my output. I've taken those learnings and applied them kind of what you alluded to in the spare time, so to speak, to do some really, really fun things that I really enjoy and have a good time with. I didn't mention it earlier, but my tech stack currently is Ruby on Rails backend
Mhm.
primarily with React Web on the front end. I do some Expo React Native work as well. Um, Messed with a whole lot of other technologies, but that's really the primary stack at the moment.
I'm really, I want to get into the exciting ideas that you have and how you're putting them, how you actually creating a new reality out of those ideas. However, you touched on something that I'm curious about, and it's not talked about a lot. So, using AI responsibly, you said you learned this at your current workplace. Can you tell me a little bit about what that means and what should people know, just very high level, about using it responsibly?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about using AI and how you apply it to your workflow, there's really all kinds of different things that can mean, and
Hmm.
everybody is on a different part of that journey. You have some people that are skeptical of it or maybe a little bit more resistant of it because of all kinds of different reasons.
Yeah.
There's any kind of reason that you could have. But because of that, maybe you don't really use it in your workflow, or you keep it to more the chat and planning type of interface and you don't really let it touch your code. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have all of the people that are posting about how they're spinning up like 20 or 30 agents at once and letting
That's
them go
right.
for hours and hours at a time. And you look at that and you're just saying, like, what is going on there? How does that person do that? And how we use it at the place I'm at now and how I've integrated it into my own workflow is kind of in between those two, where I use it in the CLI often, where it's doing the majority of my coding, but it's not just the coding piece that I apply it to. It is helping me plan my projects, helping me break down those projects into pieces, helping
Mhm.
me write the cards and the tickets that I'll be pulling. And then it will, when it's time to pull a card, I'm sure you've talked about MCP servers on here before.
We have, yeah.
MCP servers are like my favorite thing right now
Yeah.
because
Tell for those who are not familiar, because we have people who are in tech who listen to the podcast, but just people who are in business and product managers who might not know the technical side of things. So just tell us what an MCP is.
yeah, I mean, at its basic level, what it does is it just allows your AI tool to talk to other tools in your system or in your workflow. So
Hmm.
in my example, the most value that I find is when I'm working on a project plan and I'm working on that project plan, for example, in Claude Code, because
Hmm.
Claude Code has the context of the code base and the existing business logic and everything that's in there. So that can help inform the plan as I'm putting it together. And then as I break that plan down, I could either take my thoughts and manually input them into my ticketing system,
Hmm.
or I can go to Claude Code and I can say, all right, go to Linear and create these tickets for me. And it will make that connection. It will create my project for me. It will write the cards, fill in the description, put in all the context to where that would have taken me maybe a couple hours manually. It just does it
Mm.
for me. And then I can
And
go back through and look through those tickets and make sure they're accurate and they capture the details that I need. But it took all that manual iteration
yeah,
out of the picture.
yeah. So, so you become the human loop in this whole process, and Claude does a lot of things that developers used to spend their time doing. So, by tickets, do you mean user stories? Is that what you're essentially inputting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Um, so basically, on the product side, is what is it? What is a product supposed to do, and what are the features, and what is a user able to do? Okay, great. So, from a role perspective, though, Ryan, does that mean that the bar has been raised for you? Because as a developer, since in the past you'd spend a lot of time creating those user stories, entering them, and making sure they make sense, took out a chunk of your time, and then you started working on them. The expectation now that you'll work a lot faster because Claude is doing all that for you, or how have the standards changed
That's a
for
really
your
good
productivity?
right, right. That's a really good question. And I would say yes, they have changed. There is maybe some more expectation there in terms of output. And I think that's not something that's unique to me. It's something
Mm,
that the industry as a whole is adjusting to. And whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing or a natural thing or what have you, as these tools advance, your the expectation of your output is also going to adjust. But at the same time, the scope of what you do is shifting as well, where as primarily a developer, maybe you are doing some planning and you're doing some breakdown, but the majority of your time was spent hands on keyboard coding, writing logic
mm,
statements and loops and all the different things, right? AI has taken that piece and compressed it down quite a bit into a smaller time box, which means you now have more time to do other things. You have more time to iterate on the product ideas and work directly with product to drive the business case and drive the vision and refine the architecture and the pieces of work and all of these different things. So even though one side of your responsibilities might be shrinking, your overall responsibilities are not shrinking. They're just expanding and shrinking in different areas. Be dependent on the organization you work with and how that
mhm,
organization operates. But as the hands on keyboard time begins to shrink, it would benefit you as a technologist to become more comfortable in operating in that product space because while the AI might be able to write code and implement logic,
Mm,
that AI isn't going to know the business context necessarily that you're operating in, or what needs to be implemented and why, and
yeah,
how that thing should be architected. Those are really those human pieces when we talk about human in the loop a lot. And I think that's where the human in the loop part is going to remain important when maybe some of the manual coding pieces are becoming something that you can delegate more.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about your ideas and what you're experimenting with and how you can do it.
So I love about AI is the speed at which I can iterate on ideas and implement ideas. One of
Mhm.
the reasons that I like and love technology in general is all of the different ways that you can apply it for interesting and fun and useful projects. And sometimes I think technologists, we get in this headspace where we're all logic and we're all implementation,
Yeah.
and we don't think about exercising that creative side as much. And then AI
Mm,
comes along and it's like, hey, if you want to be creative and dream up all of these different ideas, I can help you implement them really quickly. And that's enabled me to start working on more of a startup-y idea of my own in the evenings. I've been able to collaborate with somebody else on another idea that they had and they want to turn into a startup eventually. And then even just like fun little random side projects. Like I put out a mobile app for travel bingo just because I noticed that road trips are kind of boring sometimes, and it would be fun if my family had something that we could all play together. And I
mm,
was able to put that together and release it when it before it would have taken me a long, long time to do something like that. And I can work on all of these different areas and ideas in parallel if I want to, just depending
yeah,
on my schedule and how much time I have when like before
yeah.
that would not have been possible.
So is Travel Bingo an app that you built for your family? Family road trip bingo app, which you said you created for your family. We can go to either iOS or Android. You could download it. We could start using it right now. How long did it take you to create that app?
In total, probably a month maybe. And a lot of that time was just getting through the App Store policies and testing
Mm,
procedures and stuff. So
yeah.
the actually coding portion of it was not so much.
And you use Claude to do this?
I used a bit of the GPT models at the time through
Mm-hmm.
CodePilot, uh, or,
Mm-hmm.
c- and I've since switched over to Claude for most of my stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell us about some of the other ideas you're experimenting with.
Yeah, so the one that I'm probably putting the most time into right now is going to end up being a CRM system for small businesses. And I
Hmm.
have some different ways that I'm thinking about the product side of it and how I want to differentiate from the incumbent um, pieces that are in the market there. I have another project that I'm working on with somebody that is a faith-based short-term rental system where you
Mm-hmm.
have philanthropic type of people like missionaries or the sort who would be the hosts, and they typically operate on a donation type of budget, so their budgets are very small and oftentimes
Yeah.
they have to stop their work because of funding shortages, and
Mm.
this could potentially be a new stream of income for them. So that's another startup-y kind of idea that I'm working on. There's lots of other just for fun kind of things
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. And simply, you can do this. I'm guessing simply because of sheer velocity, how quickly you can get things up and running, fail fast, and then move on to something else, or stick with something else and develop it if it works. So you can have multiple um, experiments going on at the same time.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, all of that is not to say, look at me, how much I'm doing. No, I mean, really, it's look how much you could do if
Mm,
you wanted to apply it and set aside some time. It can help you iterate on product ideas, and then it can help you iterate on pieces of those product ideas. So if you want
yeah.
to experiment with totally different ideas and see what works and see what doesn't, or what you're interested in and what you're not, you can do that. Or even within a system or idea, you can try launching different pieces or products, and it really shortens that cycle time down of
Mm,
experimentation, right?
yeah.
And that helps you get those creative juices flowing as well. And that's what I have a lot of fun with. That's really the motivating factor, is just being able to see the result of all of these things that you're mulling over in your mind. You can actually make
Mm,
them tangible, play with them, see if they work, see if they don't.
yeah. And so there are a lot of people, including software engineers, who are in wait and see mode as it relates to AI. They're using it sparingly, but they're not really experimenting as much as someone like you. What would your advice be to uh, people who have a technology background who are in wait and see mode, and or maybe not, maybe someone with a business background, or just saying, hey, maybe I'm not going to invest time to learn AI, experiment with it. What would you say to them?
Yeah. So, first of all, I would say I I understand oftentimes there's all kinds of different debates around AI and the use of AI, and whether it's good for society or not in general, or whether it's good for software engineering in practice, like the craftsmanship side of it. The economic side, I think we're still
Hmm.
in this phase where we're discovering the spend versus the value that we get out of it, of
Yeah.
like token spend, and how much does that token spend cost, and costs are going up. How much is the value that we're getting out of it? There's all these different interesting intersections to think about and consider. So when somebody is hesitant, like, I totally get it. There's so much behind all of this, and you can fall on that debate in all kinds of different areas, justifiably so.
Yeah.
But the one thing is, it is a technology and a tool like anything else is. And eventually, the economics we're going to figure that side out. Things are going to get more efficient, they're going to get smarter. It's not going away, it's not going to progress backwards.
Yeah.
And there's eventually going to come a time when you will need to know how to use it. Nobody
Mm,
knows exactly when that will be. It might be coming in a little while, it might be coming very soon. But if you enjoy software engineering, you enjoy building, you enjoy making things, you enjoy the craftsmanship of it, treat it like it's a tool. And like any tool, this is a very complex tool, and you have to figure out how it works for you and how you should use it and what works well and what doesn't. And there's a lot of noise right now that's hard
mm,
to parse through.
that's
So
for
just
sure.
try it yourself. Don't go be the crazy person that's spinning up 50 agents if that's not your jam. Do small
Yeah.
batches with it. Try connecting an MCP server, have it create some small pull requests, have it review its code, look through the code yourself that it's developing, and see and feel out where you still fit in the chain. We've talked a lot about the human in the loop and where the human in the loop is still important. Realize that nobody is actively trying to completely boot you out of software engineering. You need to figure out where you still fit in that process and how this tool can help you and accelerate what it is that you're doing.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Ryan, my final question for you is what does the next chapter in your career look like? What are you looking to do? It doesn't have to be next 6 months or even the next year, but what's the next chapter?
Yeah, that's a good question. I appreciate it. And I think that gonna kind of weave the AI narrative back into my answer for this one too,
Hmm.
where I eventually would like to use it to run my own business, write my own software that is my own creation that I can sell, and that is my income stream.
Mm,
Because that could afford economic freedom, freedom of
yeah,
location, time with family. Time is a very precious thing that we all have a very limited amount
absolutely.
of. And if AI can save you time, that's a great thing. And if I can use it to eventually run my own business, that's something that I would very much like to do.
That's amazing. And then would you say I think there's never been a better time to do exactly what you said, is run your own business and then find more time to do other things that you really, really like. Maybe not all at once or from the get go, but it takes time to develop anything significant. But eventually you want to get to a point where you can run your own business from wherever and live a higher quality life, right? That's what we're after, what most people are after, I would say. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, Ryan, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I think our listeners will get a lot out of your journey, and thanks for sharing that journey with us today.
I appreciate it. And thank you again for having me.